Yo guys, it's the 1st of September 2019. I am Pilgrim, and I thought I would record something again while I'm out driving. I'm going, I'm just nipping into town, got a few things to do, and I thought I'd talk about the news. Here's what's happened. A trailer has come out for NBA, what is it, 2K or 2K20 or whatever the new NBA game from 2K is. And it featured a whole lot of funky stuff. It had like, it featured kind of like Wheel of Fortune style reveals when you get like different characters or you get different items for the game, where you have to spin a wheel and see what you get, or rewards where you get to play a little mini game to try and get the best player for your team, and of course there's a whole lot of packs that you get with like semi-random players in them, yada yada yada. So of course folks have been looking at that and being like, hey, that looks a lot like gambling, because you get a reward in the game, you spin the wheel, you see what you get, but it's random. Now, the folks in charge of deciding whether or not to put like gambling stickers on games like this is Peggy in the EU and the ESRB in the States. Now, they looked at this trailer as well, and they addressed the fact that lots of folks think it looks like gambling, but they said that we're going to make the decision to say it's not gambling what's happened in this game. And some folks sent them a message and was like, yo, dude, this is completely gambling. And they responded to that by saying, actually, this isn't real gambling. They say we only put a gambling sticker on a game if it teaches players how to gamble as if it were in the real world. In other words, if it simulates like a real world gambling environment and teaches players how to conduct themselves in this environment and how gambling works, or if you actually can do real gambling, where like you can put real money into the game and bet and increase your real money and take money out. And they said that this game doesn't do either. Now, I think that's a really weird response, because they just conclude that they don't do either. I can't remember their exact wording. I'm about to nip into the post office and I'll have a look what their exact wording was, and I can tell you when I come out again. But their exact wording is really weird. They just like conclude out of kind of thin air, without really addressing the fact that it might be a questionable point, that this doesn't teach people how to gamble, even though the reward mechanics clearly showcased in the trailer is spinning like a huge flashing wheel with prizes of different levels, and then you have to hope you get the best one. It's like, no, that's not gambling. Or it's like regular gambling style games, but now it's not gambling, because why? Well, anyway, 2K obviously are pointing to the fact that those spinning wheels and flashy lights that you get sort of semi-random loot from, or items in game from, you can't actually buy those. You can't buy that with the real currency. You can only get in-game rewards for that. But I got a wake-up call for everyone. Activision, recently with fucking first it was with Call of Duty, then it was with another game. They have introduced a game without microtransactions, waited till all the reviews and the fuss and everything is over, and then they've introduced microtransactions into the already implemented game systems. And I will bet you a kidney, maybe not a kidney, but I'll bet you a less vital organ, that this is what those fuckers at 2K are going to do. They're going to wait until all the reviews are in, and everyone's been like, oh, hey, this is a new game, there are no microtransactions, isn't that neat? I mean, yeah, it's random and it looks like gambling, but at least you can't buy shit, and then give it a good score. Then they'll wait a month, maybe 2, maybe 3, like Activision did, and then pow! In come the microtransactions. Then you can buy this shit with real money. Eesh. That's what's going to happen. You heard it here first. Maybe not first. I'm sure the folks have said the same thing. But you heard it here among the first to have said this. That's what's going to happen. And it's the, you know, actually, fuck it. I'm going to fucking go inside to the fucking shop, and when I come out, I'm going to do a, you know what the real problem is, and I'm going to do a rant about what the real problem is. So I'm going to be back very shortly for you. Okay, howdy folks, I'm back. So I was just talking about the response from, I think it was Peggy, talking about why they don't consider all of this Wheel of Fortune business in the new NBA game gambling. And I actually found, this is the first time there's, you know, actual quotes on this fucking podcast. Part of their answer reads like this: the trailer includes imagery that is generally known from casinos, brackets Wheel of Fortune slot machines. Using this sort of mechanic to select an item or character or action by chance is not the same as teaching how to gamble for money in a casino. Okay, so that's their response. But like, why? Why isn't that the same? Like, what's the difference? You know, on the one hand, you've got a person I'm just gonna get out of this fucking parking lot. Jesus, people everywhere. Anyway, so on the one hand, you've got someone who's going to a casino and they've spent their own money and they want to bet on something, and then they spin a fucking wheel to see what happens. And in the other, I see what they win. You've got someone who has won an in-game item, and using the same mechanic, you know, by their own analysis, it's the same mechanic, they're now going to determine what item they get. So how can that not qualify as teaching someone how to gamble? That's what I don't get. Like, how can that be something different? And they just conclude that it's not the same thing. I mean, of course it's not the same thing, because you're sitting at a computer, like, playing a game, instead of sitting in, you know, Vegas spinning a wheel. But fundamentally, even according to their own definition, that's teaching someone how the mechanics of gambling work. And I just don't get it, like, you know. And that's what I just remember what the fuck I said before I went to the shop. Is I was going to get to, you know, basically the root of this problem, what the real problem is. Jesus, that's my fucking catch line. Anyway, this is what the real problem is. I don't know if people know this, but here's a fucking lesson. Educate yourselves. Peggy and ESRB consist of a bunch of representatives from the big publishers. That's what makes them up. So the people who are regulating their games are the people themselves. So it's like a big cabal. Like, it's just a big, you know, it's just them. It's a big conspiracy. It's not even a conspiracy, because it's like verifiably the case. It's a fucking cartel of publishers who just decide that, like, oh, well, putting in a big Wheel of Fortune isn't reminiscent of gambling in any way, and we don't need to put on a sticker. And by the way, I probably should have explained this better, but when I talk about stickers, I'm talking about the, like, content, you know, markers that go on the back of video games. Like, sometimes there's, like, violence or cursing or drug use reference or whatever. And one of them is supposed to be gambling, because it's teaching a lot of kids, you know, how to gamble. Well, that's what people say. That's what I'm fucking saying. You know, learning how to, like, you know, how Wheel of Fortune work and how it works when you buy, like, a pack with, like, 7 random things inside. I mean, that's gambling. That's what you're doing. And then, you know, they're saying, yeah, well, we can't buy that shit with money. Yeah, but it's like, yet. You know, you don't think that publisher's going to stick that in as soon as they possibly can. Eesh. Anyway, what a fucking mess, eh? The gaming industry's come to this. This kind of feeds into that shit I was talking about the other day, about the difference between publishers and developers. Like, the publishers have one set of interests, and the developers have a different set of interests. Like, it's not in the developer's interest to stick a load of this kind of shit in the game, you know? And if it is, it's only to get people, I don't know, hooked on the game. And any sensible developer isn't operating like this, you know? It's just trash, man. I don't know. How can that not be gaming? You know, and the most ludicrous fucking thing is when Rockstar in GTA 5, like last month, or was it the month before, they put a literal fucking casino into the game where you could spend money in the game and do shit. And like, no, that's not gambling. Like, it is gambling in the game. And they're like, no, this isn't real gambling. Why not? Well, you're not using real money, you're using digital money. But they neglect to mention that you can fucking buy digital money in the game with real money. So it's just like one extra step. Anyway, and that's why no fucking shit's gonna happen about this. Because you've got a board consisting of like the fucking axis of evil, like Activision, fucking Blizzard, EA, 2K. I don't know, I don't even know if Epic is on it. They probably are. Anyway, all of those fucking like scummy publishers are sitting on this fucking board and trying to, or not even trying to, they're not even trying to control and manage this and put the gamer's best interest at heart. They're just trying to make it look like that's what they're doing, you know, like wringing their hands a little bit, and oohing and ahhing now and then in edge cases and whatnot. Like, in order to get, this morning, I even searched which games, I was trying to find on Google, which actual video games have even been given the gambling sticker. And it's like, it's hard to find a game that's been given it. Even though you can, like, you know, today pick up FIFA and buy a whole bunch of fucking players through those random card packs. The way it works in FIFA Ultimate Team is you buy random players for your team, and they come in packs, which you buy, and you don't know what you're going to get. Usually you get shit packs, and sometimes you get good packs. Now, how is that not gambling? It just makes no fucking sense. And it's so disgusting as well, because this new 2K game, which has got these like packs of players in, and it's also got these fucking like Wheels of Fortune and like, you know, gambling mechanics. It's for 3+. That's the age limit it's been given. 3+. You know? And then people wonder why like kids steal their parents' credit cards and spend all the fucking money on these card packs. It's just marketed at way too young kids. They don't, you know, you get a fucking 5-year-old playing FIFA. They don't understand what the fuck money is, you know, how much it's worth, what the point of it is, and how much a card pack is, and, you know, how daft it is to fucking buy all of those things. And of course, EA fucking know that kids don't know this. They know that a large part of their player base don't have a fucking clue about money because they're all fucking kids. Like, they know this shit, but they don't care. Like, they do not care. Honestly, Jesus. EA is like, it's so fucking easy to hate on EA that it almost feels like bad doing it. You know, it feels like obvious, like sort of gaming circle jerk, you know? But fuck, what a scummy fucking company that is. Jesus Christ. Shoveling out just shit after shit after shit, which is just built around microtransactions. You know, I mean, look at how they fucking treated Anthem and Star Wars Battlefront 2. Two games that they promised, like, you know, people, they charge fucking $60 for those games, or more if you buy the, like, special legendary collector's dildo edition or whatever. So you're buying all of this shit, just give them all that money, and part of what they're marketing is, like, after the game comes out, we're going to give a whole load of post-release support. There'll be new content, there'll be bug fixes, there'll be updates, blah, 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 you know? Star Wars Battlefront 2 rolls out, and as it's revealed that the entire fucking game is built around the idea of microtransactions, then the support is just completely pulled. The whole fucking, like, you know, you can't tell me that they had the same size post-release support team that they were intending on having before the fucking shit hit the fan. You know, of course they didn't. They fucking shifted everyone over to the Battlefield 5 development team, or over to Anthem, or over to the fucking Star Wars game, which Sleeve Monkey calls Star Wars Disappointment. That's okay. Because anyway, so yeah, so Star Wars Disappointment got all of the fucking developers, and then there's been like fuck all post-release support. The amount, you know, if you compare what's actually been released to what there was promised, it's just fucking dreadful. Then you look at fucking Anthem, which is also marketed as like, oh, this is going to be a live service game, there's going to be loads of things happening, and you know, even the first fucking event, they completely ballsed up. This whole Cataclysm event was like more than a month late. And by then the servers were dead. And now they're stuck with this fucking, like, you know, completely dead, limp, abandoned game, which they have somehow promised they were going to fucking keep alive. And they'd be trying to do, you know, CPR and, like, artificial fucking breathing for it for all this time. But it's dead. No one plays it because it's shit. Because it was just built around microtransactions. Honestly, I think this is a good way of understanding EA's games. It's just one series of, never mind that it's like Star Wars Battlefront 2 or Battlefield 5 or fucking Anthem or even Apex Legends. Nah, it's the same game series. It's just microtransaction generator. So now we've got microtransaction generator 2019, and then next year we'll have microtransaction generator 2020. You know, MTX manager. Or like Loot Box Tycoon. Because that's all their games are. You know, they're so weak mechanically. They're so gutted. And I mean, Jesus, every day when I sit down to talk when I'm driving around like this, it would be super easy to just start off with a fucking rant about EA. And I usually control myself, but I don't know, didn't have the fucking will or spirit to keep it out today, or keep it in, or however the fuck you say. But just, I mean, this is the problem whenever you start talking about EA, you start thinking about all the other things that they've sort of fucked up. Like, it's, you know, it's things that or at least this is the deal. It's things that people care deeply about. It's at least things that I care deeply about. You know, it's like a game series like Mass Effect. Like Mass Effect was so meaningful to me. That was such a special game. The plot was amazing. The sci-fi was great. The writing was good. The graphics were fun. The mechanics were fun. It was amazing, you know? And like fucking Star Wars. Me and loads of other people fucking love Star Wars. And EA just fucking shit on that license. Day in, day out. They do nothing. And of course, Leave Monkey's right. That when this new Star Wars game comes out, it's going to be a fucking disappointment. Like, what do you expect? You think it's going to come out and it's going to be like God of War? You know, fucking masterpiece. Of course not. They're going to try and work out some new Weasley way of maximizing profits. Every time a new game comes and there's a big hype, you got these fucking morons who are like, oh, but this time, you know, EA have decided that they need to salvage their brand, so this time they're really going to put money into fixing this game. You know, of fucking course they don't. It's just the next microtransaction generator to them. That's what they are. Jesus. And with Mass Effect, I was referring to Mass Effect Andromeda, of course, which was, I mean, God, you could see BioWare desperately trying to make that game not shit, but you could just see the fucking, like, you know, it's like shitty finger marks from, from EA all over it, you know? You could just see it. Oh, I can't even remember what the fuck I was talking about today. I just went, anyway, I was talking about something else. But I've got to the next place I'm going to now. So I'm going to have to stop. I was talking about, what the fuck was I talking about? Oh, it was ESRB and Peggy, you know? Anyway, I'm going to have to call it for a bit because I got a parking lot. I got to sort of not kill people. So I'll carry on talking in a little bit about the next thing. Bye for now. Okay, howdy folks, I'm back again. I don't know, is it time, you know, should we talk about EA? Talk about their shit? I mean, everyone goes on about how fucking horrid they are, but I don't know. You know, I actually wanted to say that, like, I said that there were lots of fucking morons who, each time a new EA game comes out, you know, something like Anthem, they're like, oh, or even Battlefield 5, they're like, well, this time EA are gonna like really claim back their license, you know? They're gonna like, you know, they're gonna fucking show what they're made of. This time they're gonna, what the fucking word, redeem themselves, right? I don't know if fucking moron is the right thing. I mean, in a lot of instances, I'm gonna stick to my guns on that one, that there's fucking morons doing that. But I also think that part of EA's model is built around the idea that there's a whole load of new gamers coming in to the world every day, which is excellent. But I think that it's a lot of those people who maybe don't understand who EA are and what they stand for, you know? And it's not, you know what, this isn't the right forum to do a big old fucking, like, you know, one of those YouTube style essays you see, which is like broken up into loads of 2-minute segments with each of them have a cliffhanger in them because someone told them once that that's how you make an interesting shit. Fuck, I hate those. You know what I mean? When there's like, but soon EA would find out that their model didn't work. And then it would be like, and then there's like a small interlude, and then it comes, and then there's another 2 minutes, which end with, and this was the beginning of the renaissance for EA, and then there's like some music, and then it cuts into like a, fuck, I hate that structure. Why do people make content like that? Anyway, why do they just drive around town fucking shouting in their car, huh? Why don't people do that? I don't know. That's what they should fucking be doing. Anyway, what was I talking about? Why do people have to be so fucking coherent in their content? Why can't they just ramble? Anyway, I was rambling about EA. You know, and there's a whole lot of shit they do, like, you know, and I've already spoken a lot about like fucking Apex and the way that like they're the ones who are fucking squeezing in like microtransactions now for season 2. Sleeve was even telling me that there's this conspiracy theory that about Titanfall 2 that EA deliberately like fucked over the developers, Respawn, by releasing it in between. There was a Call of Duty and a Battlefield game, I think, between Battlefield 1 and then I can't remember which COD game it was, but they deliberately fucked the publishers by releasing in that window because they reckoned then that would like trash the studio enough that they could come in, scoop up the pieces and buy them real cheap when they, you know, when they'd had that commercial failure. Because of course back then they were just publishing the game, now they fucking own the studio. Anyway, you know, who knows, but that's certainly how it turned out. EA and Respawn, or whatever, you know, whichever balance of power was involved in making that decision, Titanfall 2 was released by Respawn, and it was released into a really crowded market for first-person shooter games, and it didn't do very well. So the studio was in a fuckload of trouble, and then EA bought them cheap. I don't know. I wouldn't fucking put it past them. There's not much I'd fucking put past EA. And then, you know what? Another thing that EA does is sometimes they try and like make things seem better by getting one of their like suits out at E3 to go and like be interviewed. But it's like watching you know that scene you know in Men in Black, that guy who's like trying to pretend to be a human. He's got wearing the human skin. He's like, more water, sugar. He's called, what's he called? Ed. I can't remember what he's called. You know the guy I mean, who's like walking really awkwardly with those bones like snapping, desperately trying to pretend to be a human. Well, that's what the EA executives feel like. It's like, because you want to say it's like an alien or a robot pretending to be a human, you know, in a kind of, you know, when you see people like that. It's the same thing with like, what's it called, Mark Zuckerberg, the Facebook man. You know, you want to say, it looks like an alien trying to be a human but doesn't really understand the subtleties, but it's not even like that. It's that, you know, we're not talking uncanny valley here. You know, we're talking about someone who's obviously not human, you know. Anyway, that's what it's like when that guy comes out, you know, and everything about them is just shit, and they must know that what they're doing is like dishonest fucking bullshit, because they come out and defend it, and instead of saying like, yeah, well, you know, for our business model to work and for us to continue to fund the studios we want to fund and for us to continue to give the fucking bonuses we want to give to our executives, you know, we need to make this much money, and then we need to have fucking microtransactions in all our games. They don't say that. They say shit like, well, we want to provide players with the best possible options of expressing themselves in our game world by, you know, utilizing all of these custom cosmetic options that we've introduced, and of course we need to ask for a fair price for that in order to fund our continued supply. You know? Fuck. It's such corporate wank, you know? It's like it was created by one of those like random text generators. You could probably do that. You could do like a random EA random EA press release generator and it will make about as much fucking sense as any of their shit does. Like, oh jeez. Anyway, I gotta come down a little bit. I can't, you know, I gotta save this this whole talk about EA for for like a structured video. Not one of those fucking things which has got that annoying fucking YouTube structure of the you know the one I mean, the like segments which all have got little mini cliffhangers to keep people sitting there because they've worked out that like most people on YouTube have got an attention span of like 90 seconds. The fuck am I talking about? I don't know. EA, I think. Well, they just fuck over game after game. What can you say? You know what? Let's talk about the Star Wars license. I'm a big Star Wars fan. You know, I like Star Wars a lot. It's a universe that I really enjoy. I think all the movies are good. You know, I like the This is funny. Everyone hated the prequels. Now everyone fucking loves the prequels. Everyone hates the sequels. You know, I'm not super easy with them, but I can. You know, let's be honest. Me and everyone else are gonna fucking look back at the sequels nostalgically as well. It's just gonna take a bit longer than the other one. That's just how the fucking thing goes. Anyway, what am I talking about? Star Wars, right? So we got the license with a bunch of EA, with the EA bozos. So what do? Oh, they shovel out 2 fucking like Star Wars Battlefront games completely based around fucking bullshit microtransactions, ruined both games. The first one wasn't the same with microtransactions. It was like, I can't even fucking remember. It was probably, I think it was like season pass fuck you instead of microtransaction fuck you, but it was still a fuck you. And then they were like, oh, we've learned our lesson, we're going to do it better this second time round. And of course that was like the most egregious example probably in the history of AAA titles of a game built to sell fucking loot boxes. But here's my question. Where is the strategy game Star Wars? Well, the Star Wars strategy game. So pissed off with EA, it's fucking making me dyslexic. Where is the Star Wars strategy game? You know, like those Empire at War games. They were fucking great. Where's the Star Wars flight sim? Like, that's half of Star Wars, flying fucking spaceships. Where's the flight sim? Where's the X-Wing, you know, X-Wing, TIE Fighter, X-Wing versus TIE Fighter, that shit? Where is it? It's not there. No one's making it. Where's the fucking game where you play as like a bounty hunter? You have to catch people in the fucking outer planets, you know? Where's that game? Fucking nowhere. And my personal fucking wet dream of a game is like For Honor, except you're fucking Sith and Jedi. Now where's that game? You don't think that game would sell fucking billions of copies? Of course it would. Imagine how cool that would be, you know, like the kind the fucking style of For Honor with melee combat with fucking lightsabers. Gee whiz, that would sell. They haven't made that. Where's the role-playing game like the Knights of the Old Republic? Nowhere to be fucking seen. There's just nothing. And now what are they making? They're gonna make a fucking tedious, story-driven load of fucking EA turd, is what that fucking next Star Wars game's gonna be. Sleeve Monkey is just too right. Star Wars disappointment. I'm gonna fucking steal that. Star Wars disappointment. That's what it's gonna be. It's gonna be shit. It's gonna be super fucking easy. It's gonna be fucking like, I don't know, copy-paste areas. It's gonna be like boring plot. The acting's not gonna be great. It's just the graphics are gonna be janky. The movement's gonna be janky. Even the movement already looked janky, you know. And then the graphics. The graphics, honestly, one of the characters, I can't remember which one in the fucking in the fucking trailer, they looked like they had fucking hypothyroidism. They had these huge bulging eyes. It was like the Mass Effect Andromeda syndrome all over again. You know, eesh. It's just going to be so disappointing. And it's only because EA is just sitting on that fucking license and they're not doing anything interesting with it. Now compare this, right, with motherfucking Warhammer, right? What you see there, you see in Warhammer, you see a fuckload of different developers making different games. Okay, they're not all as good as each other, but a whole bunch of them are fucking amazing. You might not like that Diablo clone, Warhammer Chaos Bane. Okay, fine, that's a Diablo clone. Okay, well, what about the Warhammer Vermintide? That's like a Left 4 Dead, you know, like team shooter. That's really fucking fun. You don't want to play that? Okay, why do you buy Warhammer Total War? That's fucking an amazing strategy game. Oh, you don't want to play that? Well, pick up this fucking mobile game, Warhammer Chaos and Conquest or whatever it's called, if you like fucking mobile games. It's just like, there's loads of different developers making different games for the Warhammer franchise. And then you get this nice plurality of different, you know, different stories. There's even like, what was that game? Mordheim, I think, was even made. And not to mention fucking Blood Bowl. I actually quite like Blood Bowl. Anyway, you know, where's all this for Star Wars? Like, where's the pod racing game? Ah! Why isn't there a pod racing game? Like, what are they doing? Oh, man. All right, listen, I got to go and do my next thing because I parked a while ago. But maybe I'll think of something else to talk on the way home. We'll see. Bye for now. All right, well, I'm heading... Well, actually, I've got one little more thing to do. Then I got to head home. I should be a bit more calm about this shit now. Like, you know what I'll do is I'll talk about some... a couple of publishers that I actually do like, right? Just to contrast against the like bullshittery of EA. Now, an obvious one now, with an upcoming game is CD Projekt Red, the developers, but you know, CD Projekt, the fucking publishers. Now, they fucking behave themselves. You know, they behave like people, not like fucking animals. Like, they made like The Witcher 3 was a really great, really solid, feature complete game, and didn't fuck you with loot boxes or microtransactions. It was just like a really well made, polished quality game, obviously made primarily with the creative interest at heart. It's very obvious when you look at that game. It's really, really good. And now they're working on their Cyberpunk, and they've said from quite early on, I think soon after it was fucking announced, they said, look, there's not going to be any bullshit. Like, we're not going to try and squeeze more money out of you after this game's come out. And it's commendable, because obviously, you know, they could totally do that. And in many ways, it makes no sense that they aren't doing that. You know, if you think about it, fuck, they could you know, they could throw in a fucking token multiplayer mode with like customizable characters, and then boom, shitload of money. That's what Rockstar did with GTA and Red Dead. You know, that's basically what Anthem is. There's not much else to it. You know, you could do that. Actually, most EA games like that, I guess. And they could even go the way of Ubisoft in what was that? Was it Shadow of Mordor, Shadow of War? The one when you could buy these like in-game items for your single-player character to like help you along, you know. And the same with the new Assassin's Creed, the one in Greece. Was it Odyssey? You could get like stuff that would help you progress in the game, you know. Like what, you know? It's not unthinkable that CD Projekt would do that. Extra $3 and you get like a smart gun earlier in the game, or there's this particular cyber enhancement for your fucking legs that allow you to do a special thing that you can only get if you fucking pay some money. Or they could go on the kind of slightly cheesy Rockstar way, and this is beyond the general cheese of the token multiplayer with the fucking Microsoft generation sorry, Microsoft? What the fuck am I talking about? Microtransaction generation mechanics. They could, because the other thing they did, of course, was they when they released the game, or before they released it, they had these different versions, and one of them has a mission in it that you only have if you buy the special edition. You know, there's nothing stopping CD Projekt do that. There's no law against it, crazily. So, you know, what's stopping them? Well, I think it's integrity. Simple as. That's what it is. They actually have some sense of ethics or morality. Just some fucking sense of an ethos about what they do, which isn't just like fucking grab as much fucking money as possible within the fucking remit, or even slightly outside the remit of the fucking law. Like EA. I have to stop shitting on EA. Fuck. Can't help it. It's like Tourette's. Fuck EA. Anyway, so I like CD Projekt. Anyway, listen, I'm pulling up to the last place now. So let me hang up now, and then on the way home I'll talk about my favourite publisher. This is what they do on those YouTube things. After the, to like to give a ridiculous sense of suspense. And it's like, it's only going to be 30 seconds. It's not like next week's episode. It's like as soon as I click record again. Anyway, then I will talk about my favourite thingy publisher. Anyway, bye for now. Okay, so here I am, and I'm heading home. So I thought I would tell you about the last thing I wanted to talk about today. My favourite publisher. Did you like that little suspense there? That little mini thing to keep your attention going? Should probably put some more fucking interesting things into this. Anyway, my favourite publisher is probably going to be Paradox, right? And Paradox might seem a bit weird of a choice as a favourite publisher for someone who fucking just ranted about microtransactions, you know, monetization of games for the last fucking I don't know how long, half hour. But, you know, because and the reason people say that is because there's a lot of expansion packs to Paradox's games. But, you know, I don't see that. I don't see them as a scummy developer. I see them as a pretty good one. I mean, let's talk about why people think that Paradox like that. If you look at their games that they sort of self-developed, as well as the ones that they so the ones that they actually develop as well as publish, is what I'm trying to say. They're all pretty much grand strategy games, and they have a certain business model where they'll release the game, and the game as it comes out, it's usually fucking fun. The last few games I bought on release I've had fucking fun with, even though I've seen people whining about them as well, you know. Well, not okay, whining is a loaded word. I've seen people criticizing the games in the state they come out as well. I haven't shared that criticism because I've been very happy with the last games that have come out. Like, I really enjoyed Stellaris on release. I enjoyed Imperator on release. You know, I enjoyed Hearts of Iron 4 on release. Anyway, what was I talking about? Oh yeah, so this is the way Paradox work. They'll release a game, a grand strategy game with a certain theme and a certain sort of scope of history or whatever it is. Because their games are like Crusader Kings in the medieval era. They got Europa Universalis. Through the Enlightenment up to like the Industrial Revolution, and then they've got Victoria is an old one, which I don't know. I can talk about. I'll talk later about which games are good and which games I'm not so fond of. But then they've got Hearts of Iron, which is Second World War, and then Stellaris, which is like a sci-fi fucking thing, you know. Anyway, these the games when they come out have a whole bunch of mechanics in, and there's, you know, there's a huge fucking game world to play around with different mechanics. There's usually a huge variation in the different factions you can be, and they've all been like that, and they're all so far been, I mean, they're all pretty fucking fun when they come out. Then what happens is the development team continue to expand and grow the game, and I think they actually do a pretty good job at listening to the community in this, you know, seeing where the community's playing. They collect a lot of stats, I think, from people playing, see who's playing, you know, which nations see a lot of use, which nations don't see a lot of use. They can see, you know, which, maybe there's a particular achievement they put out, if it's not being unlocked a lot, maybe not people are using that achievement, and then they've got their own stats in-house, blah, blah, blah. And they can see, like, yeah, you know, we need to expand this area needs some love, or whatever. And in the case of a game like Europa Universalis, which is my fucking all-time favourite game, they'll see, like, well, you know, we got a whole lot of flavor events in these, like, these nations we made. But suppose someone wanted to play as, you know, the, I don't know, like an Indian nation was one of their recent patches, of recent DLCs. They'll say, well, you know, there's not that much flavor there. Like, there's just the nation, there's not that many tailored events for each nation specifically, you know, like down to the local areas and whatnot, you know? So then they'll spend some time researching it, balancing it, introducing some new events for those nations, but they'll also add in some new mechanics which are relevant to that area. They'll put some new some music scores in. They'll add some new stuff. They'll revisit the region geographically, update it, maybe add new trade goods, and they'll just in general update shit. And so they do this, you know, a few times every year, where they focus on a certain area and they do a big release. Now those big expansion packs still cost maybe, I don't know what they usually are, about $20 when they come out, I think. But to me that's fucking fair, because they're expansion packs in the old sense. You know, you had this game, which is this really beautiful complex game, with all these sorts of different nations you can play, all these different mechanics, And then they spend some time working on some new mechanics. And it's not just a simple thing as like a new self-contained system. Everything they add has to gel with everything that's already in the game. And in that sense, you could argue it's even more challenging to create the kind of content that they do. Because it's not just like, for example, the Diablo 2 expansion pack, Lords of Destruction, which I think is an excellent expansion pack. It added a new act to the game, as well as a couple of new characters. Now, the characters had to be balanced, of course, and they added new equipment for those characters. But the act was a sort of self-contained thing that happened after the other acts. And then they added, some other new things like runes or whatever. But my point is that it's a little bit easier to write extra content in this sense, rather than content which is going to consistently relate to content that's already in the game. For example, if you introduce a whole load of new trade goods, that's going to influence the trade system that's already in the game, and anything that's built around the trade system is going to be influenced. So like merchant republics or light ships or whatever, in the European Universalis. So you get very complex interdependencies of different game mechanics. You can't just simply add a new thing without making sure it's balanced and working fine and connected to everything else. And indeed, some of the times that I actually feel that Paradox have received fair criticism is when they haven't sufficiently got that right. But I do genuinely believe it's not because they weren't trying hard enough. I think they were doing their best to make sure that things are integrated. I think that it's just a very challenging task to do, and sometimes it takes a few patches to get it right. Now, in any case, my point is that the $20 that you pay to Europa Universalis for one of their expansion packs usually sees the game being expanded in the geographical area. You get some new mechanics, some new music, some new events and stories that you can learn from the game. And I think that's a fair thing to pay that money for, because each campaign is going to take you 40 hours or so, and the way that the expansion packs look when they come out, the DLC, you could easily play a new campaign, at least one new campaign for every pack that comes out. And if you spend 10, 20, 30 hours in your campaign, then that's 10, 20, 30 hours you got out of that $20. Now you compare that with what you get for $20 from other companies when they sell you DLC, like what you get from Fallout 76 for $20. What do you get out of Anthem for $20? What do you get out of For Honor for $20? Maybe you'll unlock a character, or you'll speed up your progress, or you'll get a custom flare or something. But those things don't really translate into added gameplay and added depth in the same way. They really don't. I don't know. I mean, of course, it's my opinion. It's stupid. It's a waste of time, I guess, when you're waffling on in your own fucking podcast on YouTube to say, oh, well, in my opinion, blah, 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 because of course it's my opinion. Everything I say is my opinion. But I also think in a very real sense it is the case that the expansion packs that Paradox provide add a lot more content than you get usually from an equivalent sum of money to other publishers and developers. In this sense, they're more comparable to the expansion packs for example, Civilization. That recent one, there was Rise and Fall, and then there was that one, what was it called? Something about the Storm, Gathering Storm, I think, or something like that. And they added new and interesting mechanics. And I actually picked up both of those, went back to Civ and replayed them again, because it introduced sufficiently interesting mechanics that it was worth a few new playthroughs. I actually quite like the climate change mechanics in Civilization 6. They made for a much more interesting game. Anyway, that's why I don't have such of a big issue with Paradox. I just think that they've chosen a different model to fund their development. Rather than do it through shitty cosmetics or loot boxes where you have to rely on players getting frustrated and not getting the thing that they want to get and buying loads and loads and loads of random rewards, or just buying loads of things to pimp their characters out to have pink hair and dreads and a fucking skirt or whatever you want to do with your character. It works differently. They properly sit down and they spend time and thought and energy fucking making interesting new mechanics that make sense in the game world. And I don't, and it's not like in Hearthstone, for example, where there's this inevitable power creep. I don't really see that in Europa Universalis. I think that they managed to, overall, in an overwhelming amount of the cases, they managed to sustain a good balance and a good level of, fun across the board for whichever nation you want to play as. They don't punish you for not getting the DLC, it's just you don't have access to those options. And in fact, the thing that I like most about it is, suppose you're a player who, out of principle, never buys DLC. Or suppose you're a player who's never played Europa Universalis, and you're going to pick it up for the first time now. Now, even if you spend $0 on DLC, you only buy the base game. And this is true for all of their games. Stellaris, Crusader Kings, or fucking Hearts of Iron. The base game today is hugely iterated upon compared to the first one. I hesitate to say improved because it's often used quite venomously, I feel, by the fan base to suggest that it was in need of improving and didn't receive it during the development process, and that it was released in an unfinished state. Now, I don't think that's the case. I just think that it's been iterated upon, and in that sense it's been improved through time. But my point is that what they do, the Paradox, is that alongside these paid updates, they add new features which they release for free. And in fact, recently, in these recent expansion packs, they've even listened to the community saying, for example, well, look, in this expansion pack there's this function or there's this feature, and this feature is so important to the gameplay and it's turned out to be such a quality of life improvement that we feel that for new players they should have access to it without buying the expansion pack. And in this sense, they've actually broken out certain features from certain expansion packs and put it for free into the base game. And the base game itself has seen the benefit of having been patched and updated and continually sustained for the better part of a decade. And it's by virtue of this business model that they do that. And I honestly don't have an issue with this, because it's true that they couldn't have done this without the continued funding through these expansion packs. Of course they need to continue to bring in the revenue to motivate the continued support of the game. Now, you could try and take that argument and say, well, Pilgrim, isn't this just what people might say about, the cosmetics that you hate in Fortnite or Apex, or the shitty microtransactions in EA's games? Well, let's talk about that. Then, what you're saying is, well, look, also EA need to continue the fucking funding of their development of their games, and for this reason, they have just chosen a different model. But it's the point in them choosing a different model that I think they make a mistake with. That's why, where I think that they're shits. Because what? Oh, fuck. Hi, sorry, my phone fell out of its little holder that I've got it in. Anyway, I just pulled over to put the phone back in. Anyway, what I was just going to say is that it's in choosing that business model instead of one where you actually generate proper expansions and real content to fund your game. I.e., it's when EA decide, I'm going to fund my game by making players buy random rewards over and over and over and over and over again until they get the thing they wanted. By choosing that over Paradox's method, which is, well, let's make actual content to expand the gameplay, the kind of thing the community wants, listen to them and implement it and develop the game along their interests. In so doing, that's what makes EA fucking shits. That's why I like Paradox. What can I say? And now I just got home again and I'm fucking praising Paradox. But Paradox is a sweet company. What can I say? The end. The end for today. Goodbye.